Welcome back, believers. Honored to bring you guys another video. And today's video will be titled, How God is After Our Trust and Not After Our Money or Offerings. Today I'll be referencing scriptures coming out of Matthew 6, verses 19 through 25. And it reads, and this is Jesus stating this: "Do not lay up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust destroys, and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. The eye is the lamp of the body. So if your eye is healthy, your whole body will be full of light. But if your eye is bad, your whole body will be full of darkness. If then the light is in you is darkness, how great is the darkness? No one can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or he will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and money, in some translations, mammon." And the last verse here reads, "Therefore I tell you, do not be anxious about your life, what you will eat, what you will drink, nor about your body and what you will put on. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothing?" Man, this has been a convicting topic, I can say personally, throughout my life, and even more so now than ever, especially due to the state of the world, our economy, and just how almost everything is in disarray, right? And as believers, we're just like, it's only a matter of time until Jesus' return. But I just say that to shed light on how these scriptures perfectly illuminated where our heart should be, where our treasure should be, right? As believers, not as worldly people, but as believers, right? And it's so easy to get caught up into the treasures of the earth and the material of the earth and the money of the earth, right? Versus understanding that these are just byproducts and tools that we shouldn't idolize, but we should put in its proper place, which is always under God. And though we have to fight our flesh and our carnal desires and our fleshly security of just wanting to, like, I have to have a job so that I can have money, and have money so that I can have a comfortable or decent life, which all those things you can justify and rationalize, right? But the deeper you walk with God, God shows you that, yes, I want provision. I'll make provisions for you. I want you to be looked after, and I want you to have things that that are the human, you can say the human needs of, like, food, water, shelter, and clothing. But I have found how now, and just our society today pursues those things more than they want a relationship with God and wanting to please God. And God is looking at this as pure destruction. He's looking at this as a pure disappointment to his creation, because we are glorifying the product versus the producer. And you'll say, oh, isn't the producer my employer? Isn't the producer the one writing my checks? Or I have to get my bills paid? Yes and no. And I say that because God is the ultimate producer. He's the one that controls the increase. And he controls our lifeline, quite frankly. So it's going back to giving God the reverence and the devotion and the worship that he deserves. And I've found that a lot of times giving God the worship, devotion, and the priority, that comes at a cost in the earth. That comes at a price that I have to continue to daily want to pay, in the sense of knowing that opportunities that come to me, or a lot of opportunities that come to me, are not from God, or a lot of things that, you know, or relationships or things I would want to like tap into or connect to are not from God, because I'm putting my reliance in those things as making the provision versus putting it in God's hands. And yeah, that might sound tricky for you all, but it's just to state that when we're following God and pursuing Him, it's not just hunky-dory or just, what is the saying? Something that is not just filled with like roses per se, but it is grounded and it's sustained through us dying to ourselves and pursuing God no matter what is going on, rather than over we losing our job, over losing relationships, over all those things. But that's not to say God won't restore, because all throughout scriptures, God talks about that, redeeming the time, restoring us, transforming us, and blessing us with abundance, an inheritance that transcends our comprehension, transcends the sacrifices and the things that we are giving up, because God is the creator of all things, and He controls the supply. He controls the sustenance, right? But it's just like, I've seen now more is just like this prioritization of money, you know, money being the indication of all things in regards to this world, that, you know, diverts a lot of us from truly following God and relying on God, versus relying on our money, our resources, our materials, right? Instead of relying on the source, the Most High God. And I want to encourage you guys that even though you may believe or feel or think that you have comfort in your earthly wealth or possessions or materialism or relationships, that is fleeting, that is temporal. But the sustenance that comes from the Most High God, that is forever and eternal. And it's not gonna manifest itself in the way we often think. It's gonna manifest itself in the fruits of the Spirit, and how we continue to grow and have a heart for God that continues to transcend into our relationships, into our lives, into the workplace and the marketplace and all the places that God calls us to in different seasons of our life. You will begin to see, you know, the power and glory of God in those moments, versus the moments of pursuing celebrity or fame or all these things that are just trivial in nature and vanity, as Solomon would say in Proverbs. So I just want to encourage you guys, instead of focusing on how can I just make money, how can I just, you know, essentially just how can I make it out of survival, the answer is putting it all on the cross, putting it all on the line, and surrendering it before the Lord and to the Lord, so that He can bring about what He wants for you. He can bring about the transformation and the deliverance that is far more important than these earthly possessions and things. And that is the main thing. You know, the world, and I even noticed this even with different industries and stuff, with constant and movies and different other mediums, glamorizing people's salaries, glamorizing just the money, glamorizing entertainers' money, and all these different things, which those are just distractions. But if we truly decide to detox from the world, detox from our carnality, in the sense of just relying on things that will satisfy the flesh, we will be able to experience an amazing transformation in relationship that will truly give us that fulfillment, that sustainability, that purpose that we need now more than ever, because of just time running out and things being in disarray. But that is by design. God is doing all these things to get our attention. And I could just attest to this in my life, where it's just like, I'm checking my bank account constantly, of just like, or not constantly, but more than I should, because I'm trying to like make projections. I'm trying to figure out, how am I going to make this happen, versus truly just stewarding, being a good steward. And being a good steward can look a lot of different ways, but it's ultimately relying on God, as far as saying that, God, I'm going to steward what you give me, and I know you are in ultimate control, and I'm just managing what you're giving me. I'm managing the time, resources, relationships, and all those things, so that I can glorify you over just glorifying myself. And yeah, this is a journey. This is not an overnight thing, but I want to encourage you guys that money is temporal, but establishing and continuing to dive deeper in your trust for God, that is going to be more paramount than anything else in this world, right? And that will set you free, and that will allow you to continue to build your treasures in heaven and in the kingdom, versus just building your treasures in the earth. And there's a place for both, but prioritizing our treasures in God and in the kingdom are far more important. So I hope this video provided value for you guys. I love you guys. You guys are in my prayers. And until next time, God bless.